Today we're going to be speaking about those VR hidden gems. We're talking about those games that either just really never got a good heyday but are really good games, or those games that kind of did have a heyday but again have just been forgotten to Father Time. Before we dive in, I do have one small favour to ask of you. Could you consider smashing that like button, subscribing, all that good stuff? It really does help out the channel, helps me out, helps these videos get seen by more people. Now, let's dive into the very first game on this list. Kicking things off, we have Quantum Void. This is one of those games which instantly has one of those mysterious sci-fi energies. You're going to be stranded in an unexplored star system after a dimensional anomaly scatters your fleet. This one's super cool because not only does it look really freaking gorgeous, but you get to fly a ship, you get to do some exploration, and there's a bunch of awesome stuff that's going to sort of keep you locked into this experience. You're going to be following signals, trying to uncover what actually happened, and as the game sort of describes this sort of narrative-driven VR adventure, you get to go through this in a very non-linear way, exploring stuff in your own time, and of course it's all in space, and it looks bloody gorgeous. It's a really cool and unique game that I don't think gets spoken about often enough. Clearly, that's why it's on this list. Next up, we have Crashland. Now this is a game, if I don't put on the list, I'll probably get shouted at in the comments because a ton of people freaking love this game and it's had a lot done to it over the years. Now originally this game was quite a lot smaller and now it has grown and grown and grown into being something way more, with like a ton of different missions, tons and tons and tons of different types of creatures and a bunch of different environments as well. In this one you, well, crash on a strange planet and then you just go through waves of being attacked by really just crazy, chaotic, insane creatures, being either arachnids, it can be friggin' weird fish, it can be all sorts of crazy crap. But this one has got a very addictive loop, it's very fun, and it's kind of one of those games that you want to see get into and you feel absolutely crushed because you're like, well, am I just a terrible gamer? No, the answer is you just need to put a little bit more time into this game, and honestly it kind of pays off the more time you do spend inside of this because you just get better at it, and it is just a rewarding, fun, satisfying game that is just not for a noob, you know? Get in there, get better, and this game will reward you for doing so. Next up, we have Shattered. Now I wanted to put this one in here because I feel like it's probably one of the best mixed reality games that we currently have inside of the space, as it's such a good sort of mixed reality puzzle escape room. This one stands out because it brings you into your actual space, which I think is a really cool use of mixed reality. Sad that that's kind of a dying technology right now. And I just think that it's a cool use of sort of using your space mixed in with that sort of horror aspect on top of that. Now it's not so horrifying that you're going to poop your pants, but it does have enough to keep you on that tension loop and kind of keep you a little bit freaked out as you go through things. But the way that it uses sort of that atmosphere to create such a heavy atmosphere is just a great use of this technology, as well as just being a really pretty damn solid experience from start to finish. I feel like the puzzles in here have got a really good mix between sort of difficult but not so difficult that you get angry and walk away from the game. Also enough story and everything to keep you locked into that entire experience as you go. Next up, we have The Living Remain. Now this is made by two people, a husband and wife team that brought this project to life, and honestly the passion inside of this game, it really stands for itself. This is a story-driven zombie game. Of course, I know a lot of people are going, yeah, we have a million of those. Yeah, we do, but there's a reason why this one always remains pretty high up on my list, because it's a really solid story campaign that brings you through this sort of scavenging environments, ammos, you know, getting all the stuff that you need to be able to survive this, as well as some pretty fun sort of cool stuff happening in between. Pretty solid story, very solid sort of campaign going on within that story, and then on top of that you have like pretty solid sort of zombie mechanics and gun mechanics. That mixed all in together just gives you the perfect mix, in my opinion, of a very solid story-driven adventure inside of a zombie apocalypse world where you're going to be striving to, well, I'm not going to ruin the story, but trust me, this one is really a sleeper hit that I don't think enough people know about. It's available on a ton of different platforms at this point. Go and enjoy this, and you can honestly come back and thank me in the comments later. Next up, we have A Fisherman's Tale. Now, yes, this one definitely had its heyday, but man, it doesn't really get spoken about very often anymore, and I want to bring it back up because this is one of the coolest sort of asymmetric, weird sort of perspective games that you may ever experience inside of VR. I way preferred the first one, by the way. The second one does exist, but I really recommend that you play the first one because this is the one that blew my mind personally. This is a really cool tale with a VR sort of puzzle solver involved in it as well, where you're really messing around with perspectives. You can be looking at a tiny version of you while being a giant, and vice versa. You'll be passing like a spoon to your big version so that they have a little spoon, or vice versa again, a big spoon coming into yours. Now, I don't want to spoil too much about this, but the story is incredibly rich going through this, as well as, like I say, just this cool, insane stuff going on, which will leave you with tons of questions as you go through the experience, which do get answered, so don't worry. And it's quite an emotional experience as well on top of that. Next up, we have Stride Fates. Now, again, this is one of those games that kind of came, made a little dent, and then absolutely buggered off, and people don't really speak about it anymore. Stride is actually one of those games that I genuinely love. I love the fact that it is parkour, running, jumping, free running, freaking swinging from rooftops, grapple hooking, basically like that Mirror's Edge energy, but inside of VR. Now, they did have an original game called Stride as well, which was just sort of like, you just kind of did timed runs, essentially going for as long as you could as possible, sort of doing parkour moves and stuff like that. They managed to convert that into a story and bring it all together for this campaign. Now, personally, I really like this. You're kind of playing as like a spec ops officer, moving through the rooftops, basements, fighting different bosses, and actually going through missions, which honestly I thought felt pretty damn good. It's also like a fun little MR mode in this as well, if you're looking for that kind of experience. For me, I feel like they did a pretty good job of this. It's definitely started off rough. They had some like pretty awful AI voices and all that sort of stuff, but they have fixed the majority of problems that people had with this game now, and it's definitely worth a revisit. And like I say, if you're looking for this type of experience, this really does rank pretty high up there for me in a really god tier level movement system with a pretty good story and an okay sort of, you know, experience outside of that, but really tie it all together, and it's still pretty freaking solid. You can pick this up in a sale normally, get it pretty cheap, and it's definitely one to add to your list. Next up, we have The Seventh Guest. Again, another one of those games that kind of had a little bit of a pop at the beginning, but just kind of slivered off and people just forget it exists. The Seventh Guest is actually a game that originally came out in like 1993 as a sort of click and puzzle adventure. This was like high tech at its time because they used like volumetric capture to capture all of the people that were in the game, and they did the exact same thing when they made the VR version. They remade the game from the ground up and did some pretty cool stuff to be able to use volumetric capture to actually capture the actors and actresses that played the parts in this game, which really bring this whole friggin' thing to life. If you like a good puzzler with a bit of a sort of a mystery going on around it, well then this is just going to be for you. I really love this one personally. I have played through it a couple of times because of how much I enjoyed it, and I feel like they did a very good, again, sort of like not too difficult of puzzles that make you want to just scream. They're actually the kind of ones that you can get through, but just difficult enough to make you feel rewarded for doing so. This one's a good balance. Also, like I say, it's got a little bit of spook factor to it as well, which kind of just adds that sort of, I guess for me, like the immersion and keeping you inside of the game. Next up, we have Epyka. I can never say the name to this game, but you can see it on screen. You can read it or try and correct me in the comments. I'm sure someone definitely will. But this is one of those sort of lesser known single player VR adventure games where you're going to be uncovering the mystery of Earth's first civilization. You're going to be exploring ancient locations, covering puzzles, decoding hidden messages, and following a trail of what happens to a forgotten society. It also has a friggin' awesome loyal dog companion, which immediately gives it bonus points in my opinion, because who doesn't love dogs? And at the end of the day, this is a really good looking game as well as all of that. It has that adventure mystery feeling, so you're not just going to be fighting things off every 5 seconds. You're going to be exploring, reading evidence, and finding clues. Now, I will say it's not the longest game in history, but what you do get out of this game I feel like stays with you, and that to me just screams a good game. Next up, we have Song in the Smoke. Now, this is a game that also got a ton of remastering done to it. If you're looking for a absolute god tier survival game, this one, in my opinion, it doesn't get spoken about often enough anymore, but it really is there. It has a very stylistic style about this game, which I think sometimes maybe puts people slightly off of it. But once you're in there and you're experiencing this game, it really has a beautiful way of crafting this world around you, and then of course you crafting to survive within this world. It's a gorgeous game with really fun mechanics in order to do like the survival side of things. It's also got enough sort of lore and all that sort of stuff going on inside of the game to keep it interesting, keep you locked in, and make you run through this entire thing. I really like this game. It is one of those sort of sleeper hits in my opinion that kind of, again, maybe had a little bit of a hit at one point, but just just doesn't get spoken about anymore. And finally, we have Eye of the Temple. If you've ever wanted to feel like Indiana Jones, but in your own room, well, now you can, because Eye of the Temple has been around for a friggin' long time. You can dive into this game, and it does a very clever thing that I've actually not seen in many other games. This is room scale VR in the sense that it knows the space that you have, and it will use that space to allow you to fully walk around and move in your space. And it's very clever how it does it. So say for instance you have a 3 meter by 3 meter space, it will know how to convert the game into working in a 3 meter by 3 meter space so that you can actually physically walk around your room like you're doing the puzzles yourself without using the controllers to move or anything like that. So a very comfortable experience for a new person into VR, which I think is a very cool experience, because I think when you take away sort of like the joysticks and everything like that, people tend to feel a lot more comfortable inside of experiences. And this one is such a beautiful sort of showcase of how that can actually work, as well as being a really fun puzzler that actually gets you up and gets you moving. You're getting your steps in, you're sort of crouching, you're going to be ducking, dodging and weaving things, and it's just a really solid experience inside of all of that. And there you have it, guys and girls, that is going to do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed the games that are on this list. I tried to give you a little taste of everything so that there's sort of something for everyone in here. Of course, if you think there are any games that I've missed off this or some true hidden gems on any platform, let me know in the comments down below, because the next time I do one of these videos, I genuinely look through those comments and they really help me pick out some freaking awesome games that even I forget exist. Other than that, guys, like, subscribe, blah, 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 all of that stuff, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out. Bye.